I've had people say, like, you might want to downplay your faith a little bit, because it's not really a thing that's going to win you over, to people, and
my faith has changed. My faith in humanity, my faith in God has dramatically changed. I was so used to
hearing it. I can always go back to it and be like, there it is. It's on tape. It's not in the ether. It's there.
You may know Jonathan Roumie as the guy who plays Jesus in The Chosen. But do you know that off-screen, he's just a quiet gentleman with deep faith? And that's not always welcome in Hollywood. In fact, he's been told to tone down his beliefs or risk losing work. Still, he stands firm. And not only him, dozens of other Hollywood celebrities have all risked their careers simply because they refuse to say no to Jesus. From people on The Chosen to bigger celebs, these actors all made a decision that we're still wondering today. Is faith really worth the cost?
Where I got cast as Jesus, and commensurately, my faith journey deepened exponentially. So I was raised mostly Catholic. I was baptized Greek Orthodox, and then when we left New York City, we sort of transitioned to a church that was near to where we lived. My mother's Roman Catholic, my father's Greek Orthodox, but adoptively Catholic. I kind of consider him, since he went to Catholic school, and there's a lot of similarities between the Orthodox and the Catholic faith, so it wasn't such a difficult transition.
Long before the cameras ever rolled on the set of The Chosen, Jonathan Roumie was a struggling actor. He once said he had just a few dollars left when he gave his life completely to God. Then, months later, he got the role of Jesus. But even now, with all the success, not everyone in Hollywood is cheering.
As a Catholic, and I've just, my journey has led me deeper to the heart of the faith, and the original movement that Christ himself started so many years ago. And that's kind of the bones of my journey.
Now, were you always strong in the faith? I mean, we're like from 4 years old. Did you know that you were going to be like Catholic forever and play Jesus on The Chosen? Or
I don't think I had that kind of insight. No, I don't think I knew I was going to play Jesus in The Chosen at 4.
Not quite that prophetic.
No, I wasn't given the gift of prophecy.
Jonathan has said that people told him to tone down his faith. Some warned him that being too open about God could hurt his career. It might keep him from getting other roles. But Jonathan didn't back down. He said he'd rather miss a job than hide his beliefs. That kind of quiet strength speaks louder than any script.
Films and TV shows, it's like people are more, I think in Hollywood especially, people are kind of nervous about talking about their faith in a business setting. I never was. I was just, I'm happy to talk about it, to anyone who wants to talk to me about it. But, getting that kind of advice was a little strange and disappointing, but I also wasn't surprised because that's kind of what I had heard about, and I just see how people react and how you look at the majority of the.
Even while acting in a Christian series, he felt pressure. That shows just how strong the pushback can be in the entertainment world. Still, Jonathan holds on. He's not just playing Jesus. He's trying to live for him, even when the lights go out and the cameras stop. And that's where his Real story begins. 1. Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson shook the world with the passion of the Christ. It was intense and full of faith. But behind the scenes, making that movie wasn't easy at all.
Every single one of those guys died rather than deny their belief. And nobody dies for a lie. Nobody.
You believe that was a real event?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
What brought you to that belief? Is this something you've always had, or is it something you studied it and you've come to this conclusion because of the historical account?
Hollywood wasn't excited about a graphic, fully religious film in ancient languages. Big studios walked away. Critics rolled their eyes. Some even tried to cancel it before it hit theaters. Mel had to fund it himself, and risk his entire reputation.
What motivates you, Mel, to make faith films like this, films with a faith message? Why do you do it?
Well, faith is a real thing.
Yeah.
And I think that oft times, I made the ultimate superhero film in The Passion of the Christ.
That's right. Yeah.
And real superheroes don't wear spandex.
That's right.
And they don't have a lot of 3D special effects, but they do operate on a higher level, on a supernatural level, and they actually look and appeal to something greater than themselves, and then they do something superhuman.
Yeah.
And still, he did it. Because for him, the story of Jesus wasn't just a good idea. It was everything. It was worth the risk, the backlash, and the whispers.
Really consider what it is that you need to show in order to be poignant. It can't be linear. You have to have many things to juxtapose against one another, even from different time periods, in order to illustrate what something means in a more full way. And I think it's going to be a real jigsaw puzzle to do. And I have 2 scripts.
Right.
And one of them is very structured and a very strong script and kind of more what you'd expect. And the other is like an acid trip. And because you're going into other realms and stuff.
Okay.
I mean, you're in hell. You're in, it's like,
You're
watching the angels fall.
Oh, wow.
It's like crazy.
Is Jim going to come back as Jesus?
Yeah, of course. Nobody else.
He's 17 years older. How does that work?
I don't know. It's going to be a Rip Van Winkle kind of thing, 3 days later, look, he's got wrinkles. You can fix that stuff now.
Yeah.
Even after all that, Mel has continued to speak about God when asked, even when it stirred up controversy again. 2. Elizabeth Tabish. Elizabeth Tabish plays Mary Magdalene in The Chosen. Her performance is gentle and powerful, full of deep emotion and grace. But behind the scenes, she's had to make some hard choices.
The Chosen, just booking it was this massive lesson of God has better plans than I can imagine, that I can't plan my life. I can't plan, I can't even dream of how wonderful things can be. I was very cynical when I first booked this. I was in a really down spot in my life. It's taught me to trust again and to find hope and joy again. And some of my more painful moments in life really informed my performance in playing Mary in the first episode. She was in such a painful place, and I related to her at that moment. And so I'm in very odd ways grateful for those experiences to help me understand Mary in ways that I don't think I would have been able to otherwise. So there are bigger plans for us that we don't always get to understand when or why they happen, but to have some faith in it.
Elizabeth once shared that early in her career, people told her to avoid speaking too openly about her faith. They said it might limit the types of roles she'd get. Others hinted that if she wanted to be taken seriously in the industry, she should keep her beliefs quiet. But she didn't listen.
My faith has changed. My faith in humanity, my faith in God has dramatically changed. I was so used to things not going well. And I have realized that in some of those darker and sadder places, God was still with me and using that, almost I had to go through some of that in order to even understand this role. So it's blown my mind that at no point was I alone, even though I felt like I was. And I look back now, I'm like, oh, this is so well planned, and who else could plan it? It's got God's touch on it, on my life, on the people that I interact with. I mean, there's something so special happening.
Instead of hiding her faith, Elizabeth leaned into it. She started praying quietly between scenes. She brought a rosary to set, and she treated every role like a way to honor her beliefs. When she joined The Chosen, it was like something clicked. She said it felt like a safe space to finally live her faith fully while acting. 3. Jonathan Roumie. Jonathan Roumie may be one man, but his faith had a ripple effect on The Chosen set. When he refused to hide his beliefs, something shifted. Slowly, other cast and crew members felt more free to be open about theirs too. Before long, there were moments of prayer on set, between takes, before hard scenes, or when someone was struggling.
I've had people say, like, you might want to downplay your faith a little bit, because it's not really a thing that's going to win you over, to people, and in casting film put out in the secular world, and faith isn't a typical element that people are dealing with in a film or a TV show, unless it's very specific to the show's storyline. I think the fact that I've surrendered any notion of what kind of control I have over.
People started gathering for group prayer in the mornings. Some actors brought their own Bibles. During season 3, there were even reports of a few cast and crew getting baptized together off set. It wasn't planned. It just happened, like little drops of faith falling into place.
Want me to go, and if somebody wants to cast me in something beyond Jesus when The Chosen is done, great. If not, great. It doesn't matter to me. I mean, it does. I would love to work, of course, but I trust God, and everything He does, He's going to show me where He wants me to be, and the roles He wants me to play, and hopefully there'll be some interesting stuff outside of that kind of box, and but I'll whatever He does, whatever He wants from me, that's good enough for me.
Roumie didn't preach or push. He just lived it, and because he did, others felt safe to do the same. It's one thing to lead with a camera on. It's another to lead when no one's filming. 4. Shahar Isaac. Just like Elizabeth, Shahar Isaac plays Simon Peter in The Chosen, and he brings passion and fire to every scene. But behind the camera, Shahar is a man of deep prayer. Once, during another project, the director pulled him aside.
I'm Shahar Isaac, and I play Simon Peter.
And who is Simon Peter?
Being in a small village and feeling dominant, you don't feel like you need to be following anybody. And I'm not talking about any religious aspects here. I'm talking about a personal, being a part of a group is something that is difficult for somebody who is an individual. It's tough. I think I have realized at some point in my life that, we are all kind of prisoners of our circumstances. So how you react.
The message they told him was simple and sharp. Drop the prayer stuff or risk losing screen time. For some actors, that kind of pressure would cause panic. But not for Shahar.
Anything to do with me, but it has everything to do with you and how you are feeling about yourself, and realizing that somebody may know something that you don't, and that's not an easy thing. And also to not always understand the solution. I'm not one that likes to hear, you'll see, you'll get it, because what? Get what? When? I think that friendship is, I'm with you, you will do everything you can for me, and I'll do everything I can for you. When that is betrayed, I think I'm completely broken from it. The fact that something has happened to me while I was there helping.
When they told him the same thing Jonathan Roumie was told, he didn't argue. He didn't make a big scene. Instead, he just smiled and kept his Bible close. He read it in his trailer. He prayed before filming. And somehow the work still got done. 5. Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow isn't just an athlete. He's a storyteller, a speaker, and a man who never hides his love for God. Once a football star, then a pro baseball player, and now stepping in entertainment, Tim has always carried his faith like a badge. But that hasn't always been easy.
To use them. And for those young boys and girls that are going to school, this is an opportunity for them to stand up for their classmates, to love their classmates. Those that are being bullied, invite them to sit at their table. those that are hurting. Show them how much you care about them. You don't have to wait one day till you grow up and you go on a mission trip or you do all these other things. Like, this is a chance for you. School can be an amazing place. It can also be a hard place. Being left out and being bullied and being treated as less than. And this is so many of their opportunities to say, no, you're not less than. Hey, come hang with me. Come stand with me. I'm going to be your friend. I'm going to stand with you. I'm going to stand for you. And maybe have chances to share their faith verbally, but they always had chances to share their faith with their kindness.
When he began shifting into acting and media work, some producers warned him gently, and others not so gently, that being so vocal about his beliefs might close doors. Some networks backed away. Some projects never called back. It was like his faith was too much light for some rooms.
Well, obviously I'm someone that's very outspoken about my faith, and I've never been ashamed of it, and I always, anytime I get the opportunity, I always thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, because that is the most important thing to me. But I don't think all the attention is just because of my faith. I think sometimes it adds a little bit to it. I'm pretty sure I'm not the first athlete that has gotten on a knee and prayed, but somehow it's known as Tebowing, and I'm not sure why. I think it's just, I don't know, probably had to do a little bit with the hype, but I think it's not all a bad thing. If people are still somehow talking about prayer or talking about my faith, then I think that's pretty cool.
But Tim didn't back down. He still gives interviews with Bible verses in his pocket. He still talks about Jesus in boardrooms and studios. And he still believes that honoring God matters more than pleasing people. 6. Pat Boone. Pat Boone's been in the spotlight for decades. With his white shoes, clean voice, and kind heart, he's always stood out. But what really made him different wasn't his music or his movies. It was his loyalty to Jesus.
Because he started in the beginning of my life. I wasn't Johnny come lately. I grew up, my parents, a building contractor, registered nurse, but we were in church every Sunday night, Wednesday night. We had Bible study at home. We prayed together as a family. So my growing up days, Jesus was a part, and when I was barely 13, walked down an aisle. I had read Matthew 10:32. If any man, he says, but anybody confesses me before men, I will confess him before my Father in heaven. If he denies me, I will have to deny him.
Back in his prime, Hollywood wasn't always friendly to open Christians. Some agents told him, "You get more roles if you dropped the Jesus talk." Others hinted that his gospel concerts might make him look too churchy for big film projects. But Pat didn't flinch.
To that place where Jesus said, if any man, and I knew that meant if any boy or girl or woman will confess me before men, I will confess him before my Father who's in heaven. And I knew that was all that was ever really going to matter about my life, even at 13. I knew that it was all going to come, no matter what else happened, come to a moment when I would stand before God. As I envisioned it then, it was a vast sea of people before a mighty throne, and Jesus was standing there separating the ones who belonged to him from those who didn't. And I could see myself out there in the crowd somewhere standing on tiptoe, and I was still 13 in my little vision then.
He kept talking about his faith. He kept singing about heaven. He even turned down roles that didn't line up with what he believed. And guess what? He's still here, still singing, still sharing his story. 7. Gloria Romero. Gloria Romero is a household name in the world of telenovelas. Her face lit up millions of screens, and her roles were often dramatic and glamorous. But few people knew the quiet strength behind the scenes.
And pastor and his family, so another Lord granted my wish. I said, Lord, that is your birthday for me. That I will celebrate my 51st in my mother church. So that's why when I sang here in front of you, I want to pray, but I just close my eyes. So thank you, Lord, for everything, and I just God is so kind to the people who serve Him or faith.
Gloria, a devout Christian, faced tough choices. One major studio offered her a starring role, but it came with a script that clashed with her faith. They told her to just act. But for Gloria, acting had to be honest. If the story pushed against her values, she couldn't step into it. So she walked away.
So nothing impossible to him. So before I got saved, every time I have a problem before, especially my husband, it's not another woman. It's not by another woman. So I'm always sunuko. Because I have not yet accepted Jesus Christ as my personal Savior. So after I drank, I see another sunuko again. So, but when I go here, I'm still doing that. But when I accept Jesus Christ as my personal Savior, and I got...
It hurt at first when she got out, but she didn't go silent. She picked up a guitar and began singing worship songs. Soon, her voice began reaching people not just through television, but through faith. Now, she's known for something deeper. 8. Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt didn't start off as a superhero. He was the funny guy on Parks and Recreation, making jokes and winning hearts. But even as he moved from sitcoms to big Marvel blockbusters, one thing never changed: his love for God.
You know, I was baptized Catholic, and we weren't a big church-going family. And I had a few different moments through the course of my life where I really felt called to God and gave my heart to Jesus. The most impactful moment was when my son was born. He was born early and had some health scares, and in that moment really made some deals with God. You know, and as you do when you're praying, and I felt like, if you save my son, I will give you everything. I'll give you my life. I'll give you my platform. I won't be ashamed to talk to you, talk about you. And he did save my son, and I've been trying to make good on that promise ever since.
There were times when producers and media voices hinted that he should keep quiet about his faith. Maybe tone it down. Maybe just play the part and leave the Bible at home. But Chris said no.
Do you feel like, I feel like you sometimes get shit for that? Do you feel like that's a hard thing?
Oh yeah, I sure do, but that's nothing new. That's nothing new, you know? If I was of this world, they would love me just like that. But as it is, I'm chosen out of this world. That's John 15, 18 through 20. It's the way it is. It ain't nothing new. 2,000 years ago, they hated him too.
Beautiful, love it.
Oh, just how you deal with anything, just like a rhino. You know, you stick your head down, you keep driving forward, you have thick skin, and if anyone gets in your way, you stick the horn right up their ass.
Is it fun sticking it up someone's ass?
Well, that's just, Well, when it comes to rejection, I got to tell you, I was trained in the crucible of door-to-door sales some 25 years ago. So you can't turn me away. There's no.
On some sets, he read devotionals during breaks. He prayed before big scenes. He even spoke about Jesus at award shows when most stars thanked agents and lawyers. 9. Carrie Underwood. Carrie Underwood has one of the strongest voices in country music and one of the boldest hearts in faith. From the start of her career, she sang about Jesus, forgiveness, and prayer. But not everyone in the music industry liked it. Some people behind the scenes told her to quiet down the God stuff. They were worried it might limit her reach. But Carrie didn't buy it. Awards nights, she still prayed out loud. She still wrote songs like Jesus, Take the Wheel, and sang them with power. Her fans loved her even more for it. All these people, from actors to singers, from stage to screen, chose something bigger than fame. They chose faith. Not because they were perfect, but because they were real. Now the question is for you. If someone told you to hide what you believe, or you'd lose your job, what would you do? Their stories are here. Yours might be next. Thanks for sticking with us. If one of these stories moved you, tell us in the comments. We read every one. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. That simple click helps more people hear these powerful stories of courage and belief. And remember, faith might cost you something, but always gives you more than you ever imagined.